Hello and welcome to the Bowling University studio from the International Bowling Campus in Arlington, Texas. I'm Gerald Morrow and I'll be your host for this edition of the Bowling University Profit Break. Thanks for joining us. Our mission here at Bowling University is to enrich people's lives, personally and professionally, and the Profit Break is an opportunity for sharing insights on how to grow revenue, reduce cost, enrich yourself, your team, and your business. If you're joining the Profit Break for the first time, welcome. We're glad you're here. Give us 15 minutes and you'll be well on your way to improving your profitability. We all want our guests to visit us more often, right? On today's show, we're going to talk about the life cycle of a bowler. What are the different stages and how understanding this can help us increase guest frequency and eventually develop future league bowlers. So let's jump right in. Get talking about this thing called guest frequency and increasing guest frequency and growing our bowlers. So what we're going to talk about first is that we got to understand there's only really three ways to grow revenue. And the first one is acquisition. That's getting new guests. We're not going to focus on that one today. The second one's where we're really going to focus on today, which is the current guest coming back for another visit. And then the third way is increasing the spend of a guest. That's the check average. And again, we're not going to focus on that today as well. We're going to focus our time and efforts on increasing that guest visit just one more time. And ultimately, for a lot of us, we're trying to wonder where our league bowlers come from. Where do they come from? How were you introduced to the sport of league bowling? I know for myself and a lot of us, when we're out in the field and we ask this question, they say family, friends, and a distant third is coworkers. That's how a lot of people are introduced to the sport. So we've got to understand that we've got a lot of things going on. So we've got to make our time count and how we're going to put systems in place in order to develop and start to grow bowlers and increase their frequency and move along this life cycle. So we've got to start with some planning. And the whole idea is to have some strategies in place. We're all type A. We jump right into the tactics and we're ready to start making a flyer, put it on the website, do some social posts. But we've got to start from a 30,000 foot level and understand what we're trying to do strategically to look at the bigger picture. So with that in mind, I have this slide up here and hopefully you can see it. But this is a very basic idea of looking at the year as a total. And this is really kind of a layout for walking through a youth bowler. But you can do this for adults. This is all about the bowler life cycle. So we have a program that's starting in January and it's only 4 weeks. Where do those people go when that fourth week is done? And that's where we move them into an 8-for-8 program. And then at that point, they're finished with that. Do we dump them right into our fall league? No. We've got to find some way to stair step them up this process. So that kind of gives you an overall 30,000 foot look. And then what we teach to here at the university is this whole idea of the bowler life cycle. And we're going to walk through these, and there's different stages to this bowler life cycle, but this helps us to put something in place. You probably identify bowlers as they come through your door without even thinking about it. This is so we can teach our frontline team members how to start identifying these bowlers. So you have the non-bowler, and that's really anybody that hasn't been bowling in the last year. And this is a majority of your market. We all know these guests when they come through the door. They probably come in with a coupon or some kind of promotion that you've pushed out there. They're not really sure where to go. They're not sure, do I need shoes? Do I buy by the game? Do I buy by the hour? Where do I go? Who do I ask? And those are your non-bowlers. And we can't take those bowlers and jump them all the way up into a league. So we've got to migrate these guests along this basically journey and start to develop them and start to get them to come back one more time. And eventually they can move in and we have these casual bowlers. And those are bowlers that come in probably anywhere from 1 to 4 times a year. Think about people that come in for holidays, birthdays, other special events. They probably walk through the door. There's one of them in the group that knows, hey, we got to go to the front desk, we got to get shoes, we got to get a lane. They have some idea because they've been in your facility before, but they were only there for a few times. But if we can take a non-bowler and get them to come back one more visit or 2 more visits, now we can get them into that casual bowler part of the life cycle. And them coming back, again, it's easier to retain a guest and increase their frequency than it is to go get a new one. The next stage along the life cycle is the casual frequent bowler. And when we talk about casual frequent, most of us have programs. Maybe it's a dollar night. Maybe it is our Friday and Saturday nights. If you have any kind of late night bowling, this is a lot of times where you'll see those casual frequent bowlers. They probably in there every Friday and Saturday night, or they come in quite frequently throughout the year. You probably even might know them by name, but they just haven't taken that step to really commit to a program that they have to be there weekly. They kind of semi-commit with these Fridays and Saturdays or these dollar specials here and there. But those are your casual frequent bowlers. The next stage along this life cycle is that new club and league bowler. And this is where I can tell you that for myself, when I was in the centers, we didn't have a lot of programs for those new league or club bowlers. But this is the program that we can start to get them to make a small commitment. These are those 4-week, those 8-week, those 12-week programs. These are not your 20 and 30-plus week leagues. But this gets them coming on a regular basis. And that's that next step in the life cycle. Quite honestly, if they want to stay here in this stage of the life cycle and bowl a 12-week session and a 12-week session and a 12-week session, I'm perfectly fine with it because they're there every week and they're paying. So this is a good stage of the life cycle, and we see a lot of, I guess you'd say, centers where clubs are a big thing. These non-competitive, social type women in wine, craft beer club leagues, so to speak, are a big deal and are continuing to grow. Ultimately, we hope to get them into that Avid League, but these are the 30-plus week league bowlers. These are the ones that are hardcore, they're competitive, they're there every week. We love to hate them because they're there every week. They're going to complain about something, but no matter what, rain or shine, you could lock the doors, they're still going to show up. So those are your Avid League bowlers. So why don't we have more guests? Why don't they come back? Well, for all of you watching, I am sure that you provide a great guest experience. That's one of the 2 ways to grow guest frequency. The other one is to ask them. And for a lot of us, we just don't ask them to come back. We don't invite them back. So being able to have this in place allows us to start to focus on asking our guests to come back, and especially our frontline team members. They don't want to sell our frontline team members, and that's okay because they don't want to be rejected and stuff like that. So what we do is we put this bowler life cycle in place so that way they understand the different stages of the life cycle and we can go forward from there. So how do you do it? Well, you just start it. Start It is a simple program that's available to you that you can use to help train your frontline team members, and it's pretty basic. It's a simple acronym: show your smile, tell them hello, ask about their visit, read the guests. That's the toughest one. That's where we got to place them where they are in the bowler life cycle, and then tell them what we have. And we're not telling them everything we have. We're telling them stuff that may enhance their visit or they would want to come back and do. We're not going to tell a senior that we have late night Friday bowling on late night. So we got to pick the right product to tell them about. And then we got to invite them back and get a flyer in the hand. And then really important part is thank them for coming. So we can use this to train our frontline team members on how to ask a guest to come back. And for a lot of us now, we're hiring team members that are not bowlers. So we may hand them a flyer and say, hey, learn this. And they don't really know what they're looking at. Or I can speak from experience, all of a sudden I'm working the counter and a guest comes up to me with a flyer that I've never seen, and I'm trying to figure it out on the fly because I've never seen it. So what we have here for you, and this is available to download, is a guest engagement how-to flyer that is for your team members. You're able to take any program. For instance, here we've got a Lousy Bowler Club. We're able to break it down so that a person that is non-bowler or maybe doesn't work on that night can quickly, at a glance, understand what the program is, how much it costs, and who the target audience is, which is really key to give our frontline team members the confidence to be able to talk to the guest and feel comfortable enough to be able to give them the flyer and answer all their questions. And a lot of it's just about having the knowledge. Instead of just handing them the flyer, and your frontline team member may not know exactly what's going on. But this allows them to approach a guest and pitch a program. So how do we move these bowlers along this life cycle? It's all good and well, but we've got to figure out how to move them along the life cycle. And for us, we've got to think about sampling. In sampling, we do sampling with our casual and our open play, but if we're really trying to build frequency, we've got to get them involved in a program where there's a little bit of commitment. They're going to come in for 4 weeks, they're going to come in for 8 weeks. We want to get some kind of sampling, and so ultimately, like I mentioned, we're trying to get them to become league bowlers. Well, you can't really sample league, or can you? So some of these programs like USA Bowling Learn the Sport is an opportunity to get them involved in a 4-week program, which simulates coming at the same time every week, and you're bowling. In these programs, you got a little bit of coaching, but this gets them a sample of that club and that league program. We're bringing them week after week after week. So now we've got a growth path for our league bowlers. So not only are we increasing our guest frequency because we're taking a non-bowler and we're giving them a program that they may want to come back and see or do or participate in, we're kind of giving everybody along that life cycle a program that's more tailored for them. So we got to understand that some of them are going to be fun and casual and short. Others are going to be regular, but they're not really that competitive. And of course, you're going to have that guy that walks through your front door that's carrying 2 3-ball rollers. And right away, I'm going to ask him, does he want to join a league? Because you can tell he's a serious and competitive person. So now we've got a different mindset, and we're not just pitching the same product to every guest that comes through our door, because we're able to identify the different guests. And why I say this is it's important for developing leagues, because we've got to build our leagues. We can't just hope that league bowlers come in. And a league bowler is valuable. Talking to centers across the country, some estimate that the league bowler could be worth $500 for a season, all the way up to $1,000. And that doesn't even start to include all the ancillary incomes from food and beverage, practices, bringing their families in, things like that. So increasing their frequency and moving them into that program is really important. And we've got to understand that we've got to focus on the experience and not so much the product. We want to give our guests a great experience. We don't want it to be boring and routine and mundane to the point that that treat factor is over. So we can apply this to increase our guest frequency and also take care of our current league bowlers and keep them coming back, because we want to keep that experience fresh and new and keep them engaged. We're asking people to do the same thing week after week after week. So we've got to keep it new and make sure that we're not focused on the actual product, but more so on the experience. And so we talked about and we shared some things on the website. You saw some of those handouts like the Start It and the Bowler Life Cycle and that Guest How To. So those are available on the website. If you go to bowlinguniversity.net, you can see those and download those from the website. Plus, if you really want to dive in and learn more about the Bowler Life Cycle and how you can increase guest frequency, I encourage you to take advantage of the online courses in the on-demand program. If you're not sure and need help getting started, reach out to us here at Bowling University. As we wrap up another edition of the Bowling University Profit Break, remember that when your focus is on growing people, people will grow your business. We look forward to seeing you next time for another great episode. If you have any questions about today's show or would like additional information, you can reach us anytime at education@bpaa.com. Also, all previous Profit Break episodes are available 24/7 for you and your team to watch at bowlinguniversity.net/Profit Break. Plus, new Profit Break episodes are available every month, so mark your calendar, watch your email, join us on Facebook to hear about the latest episodes. Until then, I'm Gerald Morrow, and do for one what you wish you could do for everyone. We'll see you next time.